Today's episode is supported by AIDS-Free Pittsburgh. There are more than 5,000 people living with HIV in southwestern Pennsylvania, and the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program provides support services to help them get the care they need. That includes assistance with things like healthcare, medications, housing, transportation, food, and treatment for substance use disorders. Visit aidsfreepittsburgh.org to learn more.
Today's episode is supported by our friends at the Heinz History Center and their exhibit, Pittsburgh's Hidden History. All the curators got to bring up some of their favorite pieces, all from storage, and a lot of these items are on display for the very first time. You will see a mini dress made of aluminum, old menus from local restaurants, the nostalgia, and a spooky vampiress from an old Kennywood ride. It is such a cool peek into Pittsburgh's past and also the minds of our Heinz History Center curators. And remember, kids 17 and under get free admission to the museum every single day, thanks to the Cayman Free for Kids initiative. For more information and to plan your visit HeinzHistoryCenter.org. This is CityCast Pittsburgh. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about.
Newsletter editor Francesca Dabecco here. I am loving the bit of sunshine we've been getting lately. It has me so excited to start planting flowers, vegetables, and herbs in my backyard garden. But what if you want to take it up a notch, like build a deck or raise chickens? What rules are there? We're bringing back an episode with Megan, myself, and a very special guest about what you can and can't do in a Pittsburgh backyard.
I'm with newsletter editor Francesca Dabecco. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
And joined on mic today by your lifelong best friend and a garden lover herself, Kaydi Gratzer. Welcome, Kaydi.
Hi, everyone.
Kaydi, I think it's only fitting that we're having you on to talk about backyards because most of our memories have been made in our yards, the best ones at least, I think.
We've been hanging out in backyards since 95.
Yep.
Love having besties on the show. When our team started throwing around this idea of trying to do an episode about what you can and can't do in your Pittsburgh backyard, Francesca, we were fully committed to you, first of all. But you also were like, no, you have to get my girl, Kaydi. You have to do it. Yep. Just because Kaydi has apparently done so many great things in her backyard. So tell us first about your space.
My backyard is a fairly typical city of Pittsburgh backyard, although I do have grass and lawn. But we're doing what I like to refer to as foodsteading, meaning we have...
not homesteading, but...
No, this is specifically about food.
This is different.
I'm not prepping. I'm enjoying.
Yes.
So my backyard consists of a very large garden. And we also have 2 beehives and a quail coop where we keep Coturnix quail.
Coturnix quail. So, are they cuter? Are they smaller?
Are they
chunkier? Like, what's the vibe?
They're cute little birds, much smaller than chickens. They are not the brightest creatures, so they have to live in their little aviary-style coop. And the reason we decided to keep quail over backyard chickens is that they are smaller. They're kind of funny personality-wise. They're less stinky and quieter than chickens, so they seemed a little bit more considerate for our neighbors, but we still get to enjoy having backyard birds. We have eggs and then meat from the chickens.
And their eggs are so cute and little.
Yeah. They're really fun.
Let me paint a picture, though, because Kaydi's garden takes up nearly every square foot of her yard. Like, it's so impressive. And the front side of the yard has fruit trees. So, like, the whole back is just, like, every thing that you can imagine growing, like zucchini, tomatoes, beans, cabbage, onions, garlic. I could not even possibly name them all.
Wait a second. I'm suddenly having a memory. Kaydi, are you the friend of Francesca's who grew the prize-winning tomato?
I am. I am that friend.
What fair was it that you took home a blue ribbon?
The Pittsburgh County Fair. That is an event that Ferment Pittsburgh sponsors.
Yeah. I love that they call it that too, the Pittsburgh County Fair.
Right. Because it's, Pittsburgh's not a county. So
exactly.
It's fun. I've taken home the first place for best tomato grown in the city of Pittsburgh in a blind taste test. And I have taken home third place as well. So I have 2 trophies that have tomatoes on top of them. So we're doing things.
This is amazing. Kaydi, I'm so glad you're with us because we've collected a bunch of kind of random questions about what you can and can't do in a Pittsburgh backyard, like what you might need a permit for example, also what might get you a fine if you do not follow the rules. And I know you know some of these answers, especially the ones around plants and animals, but some others we took to the city. Those took us months to procure. Shout out to Councilman Bobby Wilson's office because they were excellent sports about these questions and got us all the goods. We're excited to dive in. So we're going to start with animals. Kaydi, is it legal to raise animals like chickens and goats and things like that in your backyard?
Some animals, yes. Some animals, no. It depends on a couple of things, both what kind of animals you want to raise and how much land you're working with. So my backyard is 1/5 of an acre. It's fairly small, and that includes the footprint of my house. So
that's large by Pittsburgh standards.
Yeah.
Right. We're not working with a whole lot of space. It's not like I live, out in Moon Township or out by the airport where you can get land. In my backyard, we have quails, we have 2 beehives, but we stay within, the rules for the city. If we had a little bit more land, I think we could get some goats. But other than that, you can't have cows.
No.
Can't have horses.
Yeah, I don't know my acreage to square footage calculate. I don't have that handy, but I think it's for 2,000 square feet, you can have up to 5 chickens or ducks. And then you can have 1 more animal per 1,000 feet, which is just so specific.
Yeah.
It's so specific.
That's so interesting. I mean, I mostly hear about ducks and chickens. There's actually someone in my neighborhood who has chickens, and they kind of let their chickens just roam around. They're walking besides me as I'm walking around in the neighborhood. But I know, Kaydi, you have quail. You described a little bit about why you chose quail. And those rules kind of go within the same rules as to have chickens and everything.
Yeah, we don't have a specific city regulation around quail. It just says follow the rules for ducks and chickens.
Right. I have a neighbor that has turkeys as well, but they only have 2 turkeys. And I'm pretty sure that these are Thanksgiving preparation turkeys. So we hear them gobbling over there.
And then goats, if you are listening to this and you're interested, you are allowed 2 miniature goats, but you cannot have fowl. So you either have to choose the goats or the chicken or the ducks. But you can have 2 mini goats for that 2,000 square feet, or you can have 2 full-size goats if you have 10,000 square feet. I don't know anyone in the city of Pittsburgh that has 10,000 square feet to their backyard.
That would be unique.
We've been trying to acquire the piece of property behind our house since we moved into it. That would allow me to have those goats that we're talking about.
Oh my goodness.
So, okay, Kaydi, I got all my fingers and toes crossed for you.
If you're the person who owns the piece of property behind my house, please, I've been asking for years. They know who they are. But...
And if Kaydi gets goats, then I can rent them out and they can eat the knotweed in my backyard.
So tell us about bees, because you mentioned you have those as well.
Yeah, the bees are a project of my husband's primarily. So it was really his idea to get the bees, and he really maintains most of what goes on with them. But he really became interested in beekeeping before he was born. His grandfather used to keep bees, so it's kind of a family legacy type thing. And also just something he was interested in. So we have 2 beehives. We just got them in spring of 2024, so last year. So this is our second summer with the bees. And honestly, they've been so easy. They don't attack anybody. They don't sting. I would say a lot of misconceptions about bees and how aggressive they might be. We have small children in our neighborhood who walk up and down our street. I can get close to the hives without my bee veil or my bee suit on, and we haven't ever had any issues. The only time my husband has been stung is when he's actively getting in the hives, doing inspections and things like that. So really cool to learn about bees, and the added bonus of getting honey is really neat. So we've really enjoyed keeping the bees.
And having them pollinate your garden. I bet things have just been so lush and just, popping off. Kaydi, you surprised me when you first told me how many bees are in a single hive. Can you remind me of that?
Yeah, a single beehive can have 40 to 80,000 bees. What? So all them girls in there having a good time, but it's a lot.
And that's another one that's like based on space. But Kaydi, the thing that I was struck by is that when you were talking about this, before we got on mic, you said that for your lot size, you're allowed to have 8 hives. You only have 2. Like that is
insane.
A wild discrepancy.
Yes. I think my neighbors would be upset at 8 hives, truly. We try to fly under the radar and not upset anybody because we're definitely doing more than your average neighbor, but we try to keep it low key. So just 2 is good for now.
Yeah. And to have beehives, you also need to be registered as an apiary with the state of Pennsylvania. And technically, they are allowed to come out and inspect. Kaydi, has anyone ever poked around your hives?
We, to our knowledge, have never been inspected, but we welcome, if it's for the safety of all the bees, we're a registered apiary. So.
Today's show is supported by the Westmoreland Museum of American Art and their upcoming floral exhibit, Art in Bloom. The Westmoreland's been on my list for a while, and I think that this exhibition is going to be such a fun introduction to the space. I am so excited to see how the curatorial team's setting up Art in Bloom. There's going to be these elaborate creations from floral designers who are all taking inspiration from the art the Westmoreland has on display. And you can vote for your favorite floral design in the People's Choice Awards. Sign up for floral arrangement workshops and demos, or just lean into the spring theme and celebrate with a tea party at the museum. Art in Bloom is running for just 5 days, so don't miss your chance to bask in all the colors and all the pretty scents. Admission's $10 for non-members, March 25th through 28th, and totally free on the final day of the show, March 29th. Advanced registration for all days is recommended. To register or learn more, visit thewestmoreland.org.
Today's episode is sponsored by Liberty Magic, Pittsburgh's premier speakeasy theater dedicated to the art of elevating magic. Liberty Magic is presenting Jonathan Levitt in Reality Reinvented, a show that explores our shared emotions and connections to each other. Jonathan is apparently the real deal. He's in Pittsburgh after performances in Las Vegas, and you may have seen some of his work already. So think movies like Now You See Me and shows like The X-Files. He's also a private magician for celebrities like Cindy Crawford, Nicolas Cage, and Sean Penn. Okay. You can see Jonathan in Reality Reinvented March 5th through 29th. And if you're feeling extra adventurous, consider upgrading to their Skeleton Key VIP experience. You get reserved seating right up front, plus there's a meet and greet after the show. Get your tickets at trustarts.org/magic before they disappear. We're talking about animals, of course. When their time comes, we wondered if you were allowed to bury something in your backyard. I'll be honest, when we sourced this question, it just says, can I bury something? It did not say pet. We are choosing to believe that it is pet. But anyway, have either of y'all ever lost a furry friend and buried them in the backyard? I have, but not in the city.
I have lost a furry friend, but chose cremation instead. So I've never actually buried a pet. But when my pet's time came, the vet did offer to send the pet home with me, assuming that we would bury them. So I do believe you can bury a pet in your backyard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Are there any rules we should know about?
Well, so apparently the Code of Ordinances does not explicitly address pet burial, since it's like generally a private, non-commercial activity. What we got from the councilman's office was it's likely allowed. I'm using air quotes, but if you want to, dot your I's and cross your T's, you could check with the Pittsburgh Health or PLI code enforcement. If it's my pet and I want to do this, I'm absolutely not checking with them.
Nah.
I am rolling with it, quote unquote, it is likely allowed.
It's a private matter at that point.
Yes, this is a private family matter. Please stay back.
Exactly.
We will talk about plants now, and whether there's anything you are not allowed to plant or if you need like special permission to do it. When we were preparing for this, the one thing that I was aware of to start is you can't plant anything that can then be processed into a scheduled drug. So like cannabis, for example, or poppies. Like you can have poppies, you can buy them at Lowe's. Salvia, you can buy too. But you can't knowingly grow them, planning to process them into something illegal. So that's the distinction, and that's federal, actually. That's not even state or local.
This is a fun fact. Up until, I believe it was the 50s or 60s, You were not allowed to grow anywhere in the U.S. currants, red currants. They're a little berry that grows on a shrub bush.
Yeah, a really good friend of mine has a bush in her backyard. Is that not allowed?
Well, they were responsible for spreading a specific kind of blight in the U.S. to native plants. And so they completely outlawed the import of them, and you weren't allowed to grow them at all. And I guess since then they have either resolved the blight issue or have a variety that is not, doesn't get the blight. And so you can get them now at greenhouses and garden centers. And so
she was encouraging me to get them because she said it tasted like nature's Sour Patch Kids.
That's what I say. They're so good. They're sweet and tart and sour. I say kind of like a pomegranate, kind of like a berry. And I recently used mine to make a red currant simple syrup that I'm using to mix with, ginger ale or in a cocktail or in an iced coffee. And it's really good.
Kaydi, I have also heard that you plant some like more interesting plants as well, like loofah. I didn't even know that was a thing you could grow.
That's what we're into. So I kind of put the plants that we grow in our garden, I put in 3 categories. We've got your regular schmegular things that
prize-winning tomatoes.
What people think of when you say I like gardening or I'm a gardener. People think of tomatoes and cucumbers, zucchini, peppers, onions, regular vegetables. That's what people come to think of when you say gardening. We grow all those, and that's fun, and that gives us something to eat. Then like the second category I'd say is like things that take more planning. So things like garlic, you have to plant in the fall so that you get it next summer. Asparagus, grapes, corn, fruit trees, figs, things like that. Those are like a little bit more advanced, like kind of second tier gardening. And then the third category, which you're talking about, is what I like to call the weird stuff. Okay. So this is what I really am into, and this is my favorite part of gardening, is what kind of weird ingredients can I grow in my yard that I can then turn into a good meal. We've grown things like sesame seeds. We've grown saffron,
which is really expensive.
Yes.
It's never once occurred to me where the saffron came from. Not one time. Very privileged in that way.
It's part of a flower. It's the little stamen in the center of a flower. So you only get 3, the little threads that it is, you only get like 2 or 3 of them per flower. And
okay,
so
no wonder this is so expensive.
Yeah, and it has to be handpicked. So that's why it's so expensive. So we have saffron. And then my husband has grown hops to make beer with. Yes. He's grown tobacco plants before just because he wanted to know what it was like. And then the loofah, which people, when they see loofah in the store, always think it's a sea sponge for the most part. It's not a sea sponge. It's a vegetable. It's a gourd. And so
when I saw this the first time, I was stunned. I was like, I had no idea this is how it grew, where it came from. I've
seen them on Instagram, but same, like Francesca, I had no idea this was a thing until I saw someone make a video of it.
Yeah. So you grow the gourd and then you let it dry out on the vine and you peel the skin off of it, and then it's like a sponge. So people will like make soap and put pieces of loofah in it, which is probably what you're seeing people sell on like Etsy or Instagram. And then you can use it for all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's biodegradable because it's plant material. And so it's a great way to like wash your dishes or clean around the house. It's very useful and very eco-friendly because it biodegrades. So it's a cool thing to have.
Today's show is supported by the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. Think about the last time you walked into a library. Maybe you were picking up your next great read, bringing your child to story time, studying for a test, or just looking for a quiet place to focus. In Pittsburgh, a lot of great stories start at the library. At Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh, people of all ages come to read, learn, and discover something new. And April 1st is Library Giving Day, a nationwide day to support the libraries that help our communities grow. Your gift keeps books, programs, and essential library services free for everyone. From early literacy to tutoring, job resources, and engaging learning opportunities that spark curiosity. So mark your calendar for April 1st. Donate at carnegielibrary.org/give. That's carnegielibrary.org/give to support Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh on Library Giving Day.
Hi, I'm David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast. a podcast network that includes this show you're listening to, and also 12 other city casts in 12 other cities. And each one knows their city as well as your local team knows yours. So isn't it time we connected them? Don't you want to know how they're tackling their bike lane problems and housing challenges and sidewalk dog poop crises? That's why I'm hosting a new podcast called Your City Could Be Better. Because it could be. Every week, I'll chat with a different host in our CityCast network about what their cities are doing right and wrong, the weird things they're trying, and the surprising successes, so that we can all learn how to make our cities a little bit better. Listen to Your City Could Be Better on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so we're back with questions about what you can and cannot do, maybe in your backyard. These next few we're going to go through are what I'm loosely calling behaviors that you can or can't do.
Backyard behaviors.
First and foremost, this was one of our favorites. Can you technically be naked in your own backyard? Do either of you want to hazard a guess?
I wouldn't want to.
It hard depends on how close those neighbors are.
I don't know if I have a problem with it. If my neighbors want to be naked on their deck, I think I'm okay with that.
I mean, I think, yeah, as long as the rule is probably as long as other people like can't see you. Like, I'm sure there's ways that you can still remain private, but I'm not gonna lie. One of my neighbors does his yard work shirtless and he wears tan pants all the time and he really throws me for a loop. I'm like, I do a double take and like, fine, if that's your journey, but wear sunscreen, please.
if you're sun tanning, I think, if you want a topless suntan in the backyard, no harm, no foul.
Yeah. Well, here's the answer. Pittsburgh law does not ban being naked on your own private property. You are correct, though, Francesca, if you are out of public view, because Pennsylvania law bans indecent exposure in public spaces. So if you are intentionally exposing yourself where someone else can see, and if neighbors can see you, if like they find that to be indecent exposure, they can report you, which is not really a city problem, but it could be a state law problem.
Ooh.
I guess that seems fair. There's not a single part of my yard you can't see from a street, so sorry, guys.
You'd be a little more delicate about that. I also think like fences make a big difference in that equation, but hey. Okay, next question. Can you light fireworks or like burn things in your backyard? So like a burn barrel, a fire pit, a solo stove if you're fancy. Kaydi, I have heard through the grapevine that this is a little controversial in your family.
This is a sore subject in my family because I have a close relative who works for the city and has told me explicitly that I cannot have a campfire and roast s'mores in my backyard.
I don't believe it.
If that's true, then arrest me because
have they given you a source for that?
No, and that's part of the issue. So I've debated with this family member for years that every time I have attempted to, be a good citizen and read the code, I can't seem to find where it says I cannot burn in my backyard. So I'll admit, guys, I've done this one. I've had some s'mores,
and I have sat around that fire. We have made mountain pies.
We're responsible.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so we'll start with burning things since that seems to be where like the emotions lie here. This one's managed by Allegheny County, and small fires, a minimum of 15 feet away from any nearby structure, is okay. So it's 3 by 3 by 2. If you're going to have anything that like bigger or you're like intentionally burning things for destruction, an open burn permit is required. So you can get that through, there's a city like portal thing that we'll talk about later. But for fireworks, under Pennsylvania state law, you can light them off, even here in the city. So you've got to be 150 feet away from stuff. So like buildings, cars, whatever. And you must have the property owner's permission. You can't shoot them at anyone. And I thought this was funny. You cannot be intoxicated.
I know people breaking that one.
Well, on the 4th of July, I think everyone's just kind of like looking the other way on that. Like, don't be a jag. Don't do it at anybody. Don't do it at any homes or any cars. But like, it's happening all over the place.
It definitely is.
We're watching a free show from my front porch on 4th of July.
I think most of us did. Okay, next one. Can you have a really big party in your backyard? And if you can, like, is there a limit to size? What do y'all think?
Surely there's a limit, right? I mean, we can't be having Project X in Pittsburgh, guys.
Right. I mean, I feel like the ways you'll get in trouble is probably like if you just get rowdy, like if there's too much noise. But I don't know if there's like a limit of bodies per square foot. Like
It makes me think of, like some of the parties I see happening in South Oakland. Like, surely if
Right.
there's a limit to be reached, they've reached it.
Yeah, no, you're so right.
So Pittsburgh zoning does not specifically cap the gathering size. You're correct there, Francesca. But you are also correct in that noise and parking laws can still apply. So while they won't necessarily come for you for the size of your gathering, they can come for you if your party is out of hand, if anything gets destroyed, if you are so loud that the neighbors complain. So,
Yeah, good point about the parking. That's where you'll get it.
That's where they'll get you.
well, and also like any kind of amplified sound, right? Like if you're throwing a party. And again, we're talking about like regular people in their homes. This is not like how this is applied to businesses and things like that.
Right.
Next one, can I work? Like as an extension of a business. Any guesses here?
Sure. Why not? I don't see any reason not to.
Katie's just like running off whatever feels good.
If I'm in charge of the city, these are the rules.
She said these are the vibes. I feel like I look on Google Maps all the time and I see like random businesses registered to homes. And I don't know if they're actually like operating out of it or like, I mean, they're surely operating their own business, but I don't know if they're doing like any consumer interaction there.
So that's the distinction. You cannot have any customer traffic, but you can run a business. Like if you have like an Etsy shop or you make crafts and you go, vend at like some of our fairs and things like that. You are supposed to have a business license, possibly a certificate of occupancy. Like it depends on what your home is zoned for and what's allowed. You're also not allowed to have any signs. So like you're not supposed to hang a sign in the front that says like home of Francesca's homemade friendship bracelets. Like you can't have that. Our final section today, again, my sort of loose interpretation of these rules, I'm calling this one structures. So what kinds of structures are you allowed to have in your backyard? This next question actually comes from producer Sophia Lowe, who saw a sauna, like a fully made, like already put together sauna at Costco, and wanted to know if that was allowed to if they were allowed to put that in the backyard.
I think yes. I mean, you can have a hot tub in your backyard.
Yeah,
you can have a pool. So
I look at them as the same thing and they're kind of an already built like structure. And I don't know. I actually know there's a couple of like pop-up saunas around the city that people will actually like put outside of like businesses or in their backyards and like have people come and use them. So this is a pretty regular thing.
that's kind of a crossover between the two of can you run a business? Can you rent out your sauna?
Yeah.
Can you have a sauna?
True.
Yeah. I like that there are humans out there coming up with like ways to make like these rules work for them, right? So yes, you can have a sauna, but it has to be small, prefabricated. So that's actually part of it. Like it needs to be one of these kits or whatever.
Not a
and
DIY.
It has to be, 200 square feet or less. And also like the other thing is like it can't have a foundation, no electrical, no plumbing, stuff like that. And then you don't need anything to do it. You can just put it up on your own. If it does have to have a foundation, electrical wiring, plumbing, then you have to get a zoning building permit, like just like you would for anything that has to have any of those things attached.
Yeah.
Speaking of fancy things, of course, not everyone here in Pittsburgh is blessed with a garage or even a parking lot. And, like obviously the most Pittsburgh solution is to reserve your spot with a parking chair. But we wanted to know if you could also DIY a parking spot, because I feel like I've seen this all over the city, all kinds of different neighborhoods where you just sort of create a parking space in your backyard, in your front yard, just park in the grass, that kind of thing.
If you can't, I'll be really surprised, truly. I mean, if you want to widen your driveway, if you want to make a new spot, again, Pittsburghers are resourceful. If this is not allowed, lots of people are doing it anyway.
Yeah, I can't see a world where we can't do this because I live on one of those particular Pittsburgh streets where everyone has a mix of parking. Some have garages, some have parking spots, some have nothing at all, and they have to use the street. And so I don't know. I hope it's real. I hope you can do it.
Yeah, so as you can imagine, parking on, like a driveway in front of your yard, like on the street, like that's all fine. Of course, like depending on the signage, right? Like because some neighborhoods you have to have like a parking permit, that sort of thing. But as far as parking in your yard, as long as you're on quote unquote approved hard surface, like concrete, asphalt, that's like set back from a house, apparently that is allowed. But like directly in front of your house, like on side yard or grass, that isn't technically permitted under the zoning code. So you're supposed to try to make like a parking pad like in your house using like normal permitting processes. Don't come for me if that's not the answer you wanted, but that is apparently the rule. You are not supposed to park in the lawn.
I think only you can prevent wildfires, so don't park over your dry grass.
Yeah. Don't park, but also like don't be a jag and like report your neighbor if they have for a little while. I don't know. I grew up in the sticks, and parking in your lawn was just like that's my lawn. Like I can do what I want, Like sometimes you just need extra space.
And like what's stopping you from putting down some gravel and just saying this is my driveway? Like
that might be an approved hard surface. I don't know.
Maybe
Although I wonder if you have to get a permit to put the gravel down. I really don't know.
That's so weird. Okay, well, to be investigated if anybody wants to DIY their parking space.
Well, and I mean, to that point, we wanted to know the rules around building things in your backyard because, like, there's all kinds of reasons why you would want to do that, like a garage, a shed, a deck, a pool. Like the city's been talking about legislation around granny flats so you can make a little extra rental income, that kind of thing. So apparently these are allowed as accessory structures. Francesca, I know you're familiar with this because we keep having to talk about it for Hey Pittsburgh and CityCast Pittsburgh, accessory dwelling units, you know?
Yes.
So all of that's fine if they are clearly secondary to your main house. I love this language, main house, as if you have multiple, on the same lot and follow like size and placement rules, of which there are many. So if this is a thing you were thinking about doing, I highly advise you check out the permitting because it is long and complicated and is for everything to do, like fences, chicken coops, decks. I think they have different rules based on the size of them, like anything with a foundation. The pool depth like gets into different kinds of permits. It's wild like how specific this stuff gets.
Oh, man, you need someone to spell it out for you, I feel like, at that point. I mean, is it the same thing for decks? Was that a part of it? Kaydi, I know you recently had a deck adventure.
We recently built a deck at my house. It's not attached to my house at all whatsoever, and it is not up off the ground by more, if you fall off this deck, you're not more than twisting an ankle. So we it was relatively easy for us. We're just kind of in that sweet spot where there weren't really a lot of restrictions. So I didn't think it was too bad, but I have an idea for the city. If someone out there is listening, I think that in addition to the city code enforcer, we need a city code interpreter for us regular people who are just trying to make sense. Can we have a person who will explain it in plain language to us regular Pittsburghers who don't know how to read the code?
Well, it's funny you say that actually, because part of like getting the answers to all these questions, they also let us know that they semi-recently launched this one-stop shop for exactly that thing. So it's called One Stop PGH. Nice language there.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And it's the whole thing is that it's like a concierge service to help you figure out what you need a permit for and what kind of permit to get. They also have a downtown office if you would prefer to skip the online version and just go straight to a human and have them answer your questions. You have options. So if that's something you're into, we will put links in the show notes. But Kaydi, you spoke it into existence.
Yeah, you manifested this.
They made the thing.
For sure. We've needed that for a long time, so I'm here for it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm still looking at this. This list is so long. Retaining walls over 4 feet. Like that's like at least a third of the city.
Who doesn't need a retaining wall in the city of Pittsburgh?
Truly.
Well, if you're listening to this and you still have questions, we have maybe confused you more, we would love to run additional inquiries up the chain. Please give us a call or text us. That's 412-212-8893. Give us a call on the Help Me hotline, and we will try to figure out your answers to what you can and cannot do in your backyard. Kaydi, Francesca, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That's all for today on CityCast Pittsburgh. You can support us by becoming a neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And if you want to hear more from me, subscribe to our newsletter. I'll send you an email with news to know and things to do around town every morning at 6 a.m. Sign up at pittsburgh.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow with more from around the city. Talk to you soon. Your backyard behavior hotline. your
Kaydi, I don't know why you're laughing. You come to play. What do you got?
Are you a marketing and social media genius who wants to help spread the word about CityCast Pittsburgh? Or do you have expertise and some hot takes on local topics like transit, housing, politics, and culture? CityCast Pittsburgh is hiring a full-time audience development manager. And we're looking for podcast contributors to join us for lively and informative conversations on the show. If you are creative, thoughtful, and plugged into what Pittsburgh cares about, you could be a great fit. Learn more about the positions and apply at citycast.fm/jobs. You've got until March 16th to apply, so head on over now to citycast.fm/jobs.